Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Well, I certainly know my wife saying, hey, you know what? My card didn't go through, it didn't work. I see Roshni SMSing or WhatsApping saying, hi, my card said declined. I had money in the card, thank you. Well, we've heard that story, and that's why people couldn't even take flights around the world. I mean, it's been a massive issue. So what's the big deal here? Richard Frost is with me, cybersecurity expert from Amata. Richard, good chatting to you. Hello.
Good evening, Ashraf.
Thank you. So give us some context. I'm suggesting there was some cyber outage and it's affected some people, and I'm thinking everybody knows about it, but perhaps they don't know. So just give us some background in terms of what's actually happened.
Yeah, Ashraf. So we picked up that there's been an outage created by one of the endpoint protection software vendors. As you know, with ransomware and malware, the fight against the malware has become more sophisticated, and so has the endpoint protection game. One of the vendors, which is actually quite a big leader in that endpoint security space, they released an update to their software to assist with this protection. And unfortunately, there was a line of code that wasn't well documented, and it caused an outage to any system that was utilizing the software. I believe that the outage started in Australia, and I suspect that the guys obviously uploaded the update, the follow the sun method from Australia going around through parts of South Africa. And as the updates were released and inserted, so it brought down the systems that were running the software.
Okay, so normally if we spoke about this, it would just be some cyber outage or maybe a cyber crime story that people listen to academically. The reality is now it affects people's lives, even in our country, in South Africa. Give me an idea, if what you know anecdotally, how it's affected people in terms of how they go about what is the seemingly normal day in their normal lives.
Yeah, so I think the software in question is not something that a consumer would utilize or a very small business. It is a very big enterprise solution. So effectively what you have found is because it is a world-leading provider of endpoint security, the large entities like banks, the healthcare industry, all of those are utilizing the software to protect the endpoint. The way the endpoint protection software works is it attaches through to the Windows processors on the servers and on the desktops. And this has now created what's known as a kernel panic, to be very technical, which causes the Windows system to kind of go into a panic state, and then it reboots and brings up that blue screen of death, as it's commonly known in the IT field, right? So you see that blue message pop up saying, the server needs to shut down or the PC needs to shut down. So the impact now is if you're running this in a bank or if you're running this in any form of business, obviously the systems that are working on top of those servers would obviously go offline as well. So your banks, if they're running it, you wouldn't be able to, do internet banking transactions. You wouldn't be able to do certain card payment transactions.
I mean, I see airlines were also cancelled for various reasons, whether it's not just the boarding passes, I think just security in terms of the airline's data. So there were a whole lot of issues that's been affected. I understand Microsoft now saying the issue has been fixed. Has it been fixed?
It has. So obviously the software vendor in question has released an update. They've also sent through a temporary fix. In other words, if you run the computer in the safe mode and you remove a specific line out of the configuration, it will fix the issue temporarily. And there's a longer-term fix that's obviously being implemented now. So the issue has been resolved. But, I mean, this is not something that's very uncommon either. I mean, if you look at 2021, I think there was a company called Fastly. They rolled out an update on their network, and it brought the whole network down, which actually then impacted most of Google's network and a few other larger enterprises.
And maybe lastly, what's the big lesson to learn from this?
Very difficult to state this without, causing problems, but you would probably want to make sure that your software updates are tested more rigorously before they go out to the public, just to make sure that they don't, create some kind of an issue. A lot of software vendors do release bugs, unfortunately, and this is the reason why we have to do these updates, right? But if the bug itself that's written into the software causes an outage, that's when it becomes problematic.
Okay, that's where we can leave it. Richard Frost, cybersecurity expert from Amata. But there you are. Have you been affected? You can still comment. Maybe I won't take your calls, but just quick WhatsApp voice notes or text. Have you been affected by this global cyber outage, and in what way? Have you had your flights grounded? Not in South Africa, I doubt it very much, but it's hit flights, banks, telecoms, media, payments made online using your cards. It's affected, basically it's affected your life. The only thing you could do is probably listen here to the National Pulse on SAFM.